Hey YouTube, and welcome to the MCs Unscripted, where we talk to artists, entertainers, and behind-the-scenes decision makers who are some of the best at what they do. So today we have something a little special for you guys. So for a long time now, you may have noticed that we've been focusing on music and wellness. You may have seen on one of our previous videos by Bryant Larson, he talks about music and the curing of Alzheimer's disease, fibromyalgia, and cancer. And obviously, so we are musicians and educators on the channel. So today we wanted to talk to a panel of professionals to ask you guys, did we get it right or not?
We think that music can have such an important social role because it allows family members to connect with a person who is suffering from Alzheimer's, but the music transports the person back, and then that allows the whole family unit to kind of engage again. When we talk about music and health or disease, is to recognize its effect on the unit around the person themselves.
It should be something that is integrated in our schools. A lot of these arts, it seems like they're taking all of these arts away. And as you can see, there's so many mental illness that are coming out now. And it's starting with our kids.
I totally agree. I think it should be mandatory because it's such an important role, and it seems to have a legacy effect. So the benefit lasts even if you subsequently drop music or drop, you haven't maintained maybe a lifelong interest in music. So, but you're not participating actively anymore. But it seems to have enduring benefit for emotional, physical, and psychological health and well-being. It's quite a bridge, and I think your tolerance and for other people who are different comes a lot from. If you listen to their music, you recognize that they're also human and they're not unlike you. Provided you have a bit of an open mind, and I think that breaks down a lot of barriers.
Yeah. Wow. That was great. Okay, back to the video.
If we really believed that preventing Alzheimer's, dementia, fibromyalgia was something we could do, wouldn't we be doing it? No. The answer is no. That's because the idea of curing someone can only happen after the person has been afflicted. Chemotherapy is the leading way as of where we are now in medicine to quote unquote cure cancer. But in our emotionless and perfunctory definition of the word cure, we have prioritized the disease over the human. Chemo doesn't work every time, but its effects are universal. The sickness, hair loss, weakness, and fragility, some get through it. But after it reaches a certain stage, many don't. Understanding illness in terms of cure or no cure, binary and urgent in its implementation due to the nature of the word itself. We forget that there is another word, healing. Dio, now affectionately known as the Ed Sheeran of Children's Healthcare Los Angeles, showed amazing progress. It was like he was famous. Music helped him communicate so much better, but it also restored his confidence, something he lost after his stroke. By the end of his initial 6 weeks in inpatient speech and language therapy, Dio was not only more secure in himself, but he had made leaps in communicating. He was speaking more fluently and connecting several words and phrases together. To quote one of the medical staff, "We finally got to see the real Dio, the funny, social, and wonderful guy he is. He was communicating in conversations and telling jokes. It was incredible to witness. That's not a cure. That's healing. The body, the mind, and...
Okay, so I know that I believe Ikedah mentioned something before, or Katrine, you asked Ikedah about if you can use music to kind of help communicate with kids and their emotional well-being. And so I want to kind of talk a little bit more about that and, ask, so can music be helped to help the communication between kids and their families, with their emotional health, emotional well-being, with their confidence, things like that, like what we just heard about Dio? What do you think about that, Ikedah?
I think that it's very possible. I mean, just hearing about how the music helped Dio to restore his confidence. I mean, that in and of itself is amazing. So if music can do that for a person, imagine if like the whole family is where the music is integrated into the whole family. There's a connection, like it's a Edwin, you guys said before that it's like a vehicle that connects either from past to future, or from person to person, or from something known to or unknown to known. That same vehicle, it can, connect a family together, and it can create a closeness, a bond. I remember when my kids were small, when they were probably like, 5 or 6, we used to have these crazy dance parties. Like our connection with music was that we would turn the music up loud and just jump around and dance and just play. I mean, even though it may not have been the music that one person liked, the fact that we all had a great time just listening to all these different songs, like everybody got to choose their own type of music at one point in time. And it was just a time for us to be free and connect with each other and laugh and just, the feeling, like when I think back on it, the feeling it was just pure joy. And there was no pain. There were no negative feelings associated with it. It was just happiness and joy and connection. So I think that, like, just thinking back on that experience, bringing the family together, bringing a sense of connection in with the family, yeah, that can definitely create such a strong bond in families. And I can't believe I didn't think about that before, but yeah, it was an amazing time. And I loved it. It was just a time of just pure joy. So imagine that. It's just thinking back on it just makes me feel so emotional and happy. Yeah.
It actually reminds me, because I have a cousin who is a singer, stroke entertainer, and he, way back when in the summers in Long Island, we'd have like family gatherings, and all the cousins would gather for a sort of karaoke party, and that just a description transported me right back to those moments and those times. It's 30 plus years, but it's that strengthened the bond between us as family members, and an extended family, not just siblings, but cousins. Yeah, so that's nice. Thank you. I totally agree. Yeah.
So I had 2 things. So this is maybe a little bit more like on the science side of it. Mm-hmm. There's some very powerful work that we know from the area of music therapy in trauma, and where children or adults can't articulate what has gone on, or they don't have necessarily either the words themselves, or they don't have the understanding of the emotions, or the emotions are too big to talk about them. That we know that it's the same sort of with art therapy, that if you can find a medium through which they can express what's gone on, it is a part of that healing process. And so that, I think, again, is where music can play such an important role, because someone can maybe sing about, and whether it's a trauma, a very big trauma, or it is the fact that they just they felt left out at school because nobody selected them for a sports team, or because they were, they didn't get into the top, section of the class and certain results, but allowing a child, or when we become older, an adult, a different medium to communicate. And linked to that, we also know from the brain imaging that when that is done on a performer, there was a wonderful study that I read, which was a performer, well-known performer, who was, really assessed for the activities of the brain that light up when he was playing one of the pieces that he knew very well, one of his own pieces. And then they reran that, and he was asked to improvise. And what they found was that the prefrontal cortex, where we have the rational control and the sort of the thinking side, that there was decreased activity in that. And so it was also then how music not only activates some areas, but also where it can deactivate others. And then through that, there's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of possibilities. And so again, sort of thinking about how that can be applied in someone's life. Sometimes when we're faced with a problem, whether Ikedah with her clients, with us, with our community, we kind of get frozen into thinking, well, I can't do this, or this is too difficult. And we shut out possibilities. And so again, maybe a role that we can think for music is that it reopens that world of possibilities for us. We have more courage to go into that unknown.
Wow, very interesting. I know when you mentioned improv, I feel like my stress levels go up whenever anybody asks me to improv, because I'm not good at that.
But you probably, sing in the shower when you're by yourself and you don't feel judged by others. You don't feel you have to perform.
Very
and
true.
then you probably do improvise. And I'm pretty sure your heart rate doesn't jump up at that point.
Well,
that's true.
Slow tempo jazz is actually great for food choices, and jazz is where improv is king. But this is a tremendous facilitator of music.
Yeah. The more we talk about it, the more we find all these amazing things about it.
Amazing. Okay, we'll go back to the video.
Yes, the spirit. And we're not talking about a religion here. We're talking about the thing that makes us human, the human spirit. Anita Collins tells us when you listen to music, multiple areas of your brain become engaged and active.
Found was that music sets off huge numbers of networks and parts of the brain all at the same time, but at a very low level. And they said, wow, this is incredible. We've never seen anything like this. So this began the field of neuromusical research.
Playing music over time actually makes you smarter. It's just science. And there's a consensus amongst doctors and scientists that's actually pretty well known. You want to know the effects of music on the immune system, pregnancy, real life examples of how it has saved lives? I put all those links in the description because literally, unless you want to sit here and watch a 4-hour-long video, I can't include all of the benefits and the research being done in this field in this video. What I will do is try to spark an amazing idea to anyone watching this. Alan Harvey reminds us that all the way up to the Middle Ages, music was taught alongside math, geometry, astronomy. He says if you asked Leonardo da Vinci if he was a scientist or an artist, he wouldn't even understand the question. They were seen as all a part of a single subject known as natural philosophy. And as we have begun to separate the sciences from music, we have neglected the fact that music evolved right alongside language and humans. It's not a separate entity that can be chosen or discarded based on how you feel that day. We see it being taken out of schools in the Western world. And the negative effects of this will be, and have been, far-reaching and quite frankly, detrimental to the child and the rest of society. So the amazing idea.
Okay, so I want to ask, so Ikedah, do you agree? Do you disagree with this? Have you seen this in your practice at all? Do you have, any recommendations about what Bryant just said?
I have not seen it in my practice, not as much. So I'm not sure how to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
But um, with what he said, as far as the decline, like once the musical arts were taken out of school, like you can see a decline in emotional health and emotional wellness, and yeah, just like how we were talking about before, I feel like it should be something that is made to be mandatory, not necessarily a competition, but definitely a regular part of our kids' lives.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know that when I was living in Atlanta, I mean, I was hearing of the music programs at some schools were just being cut. And my musician friends and I, we were just wondering, like, why is this happening? I mean, why is it the music program, like, music has such a profound effect on human beings, as a whole. And I don't know, some people, like, it's so hard to get people to fund the arts for some reason. And yet, like, the arts are still sort of celebrated, and it's something that I think is a necessity to have in a culture to kind of keep us going. And I don't know, yeah, it kind of baffles me sometimes that some people just don't see music like that, or arts in general,
And I would add to that it's not only that it is something that is good to do because of its developmental whatever, but the moment we wake up in the moment, from the moment we wake up in the moment to the moment we go to bed, we interact with the creative industry, the results of creativity in every single thing that we do. We draw curtains. I mean, the fabrics that's printed on the curtains are creative, as well as you've got the science and the business behind it. The food that we consume, the packaging that it's in, the recipes, we've got, the whole, the arts of the food, we've got photography, we've got the moment that we have an alarm clock jingle or sound. I mean, what is that? It's someone who's being creative and has put that, those frequencies together to give us whatever that sound is. We turn on the radio, it's, we consume it. It's we get to the office or anywhere else. And I mean, what are we choosing for entertainment? What do we share with each other? It's the thing that we are most engaged with, I think, throughout our day. And to not put it on the same level as the science, or the business or whatever it is, I think it does all of us an injustice, because we do need it. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree with that.
Well spoken as someone who used to work in the creative industry.
Absolutely. And I mean, the sad thing also is that, a life without creativity is a life that none of us would want. Imagine you've got no music, you've got no dance, you've got none of the visual arts, of which there are so many. You've got no culinary arts. And so you think, well, that is a life which is really contracted and retracted and is not worth living for most of us. And yet, in terms of the people who get recompensed, it's certainly oftentimes it's not the creatives. So not only is it not given an equal place in the school curriculum, but then those that do pursue it oftentimes are the ones that are not benefiting from their creativity. So there is an imbalance, I think, that, we need it, we celebrate it, we think of the movie stars and the music stars, and, they're up on pedestals and we aspire to be like them, and young people want to be like them. And yet, we're robbing their opportunity also to be able to develop those sides of themselves. I'm like you, I kind of think, well, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Oh, well, you're one of the few trained as a scientist, loving creativity, the creatives. Yeah, well, I think we talk about whole people and health, not just the absence of disease, but being whole and a state of complete well-being. So we need things like music in our lives to be healthy emotionally and psychologically, and the emotional benefit translates into physical health, and the emotional and psychological benefits, and the mental health benefits also translate to physical health. And as a cardiologist, I am definitely aware of, as Ikedah mentioned, the effect that stress has on both mental and physical health. Heart disease very often related to a lot of chronic stress. So it's this whole person concept is very near and dear to my heart as well as a cardiologist.
Thank you for watching part 3 of our 4-part series, The Emerging Research of Music in Medicine, a panel of medical experts. Part 4 and a full-length uncut version will be available in the coming days, and when they arrive, the links will appear right here on this screen. You won't want to miss a minute of this amazing hour and 20-minute long discussion with this panel of medical experts. Now, before we go, I just want to let you know a little bit about who you've been listening to and how to support them. Ikeda Alston, the founder of KimaCoaching.com, is a Kima parent and family coach rooted in growth. Now, this is the ultimate solution for families who want to build stronger connections, communicate effectively, and work through conflicts in a healthy way. Ikeda's coaching services are designed to help families like yours overcome challenges and build the skills and knowledge needed to maintain a happy and healthy family life. You can find a link to her website in the description. Build those healthy connections with your family and your kids today. As always, thank you for watching the MC's channel, music at the core of everything.